My son forbade me from attending his wedding. I tried to protect my son from his bride, but everything didn't go according to plan. This is a channel Sarah Stories. Everyday incredible stories about strong women with difficult lives are posted here. My goal is to reach 1,000 subscribers, so if you are interested in such stories, subscribe to my channel and enjoy the exciting stories. And write in the comments which country and city you are watching this video from. I am very interested in that. I never thought I would live to see the day when my own son would tell me not to come to his wedding. Ryan stood in my kitchen that gray morning in May, the kind of morning where the sky looks heavy, as if it carries secrets it doesn't want to share. He shifted from one foot to the other, his hands shoved deep into the pockets of his tailored trousers. He looked like a boy again, not the 30-year-old man about to get married. "Mom," he said, not meeting my eyes, "Ashley thinks it might be better if you didn't come to the wedding." At first, I thought I'd misheard him. My hearing isn't what it used to be, but my heart knew before my ears confirmed it. I felt something snap inside me, a quiet tear that no one else could hear. "What do you mean, better?" I asked, keeping my voice steady. He finally looked at me, and I saw it, the conflict in his eyes. The shame, the guilt, but also the fear. She feels uncomfortable. She thinks it would make things less stressful. For everyone. Everyone but me, apparently. I wanted to scream, to tell him how I'd raised him after his father left, how I worked double shifts at the library to put him through college, how I sewed the very suit he wore to prom when we couldn't afford a new one. But the words caught in my throat. Instead, I whispered, "So, your mother is too much for your wedding?" "Mom, please," he said, almost begging. "It's not about you. It's just, Ashley wants things perfect. It's her day, not theirs, not ours, hers." I nodded slowly, as if my head weighed more than I could carry. "If that's what she wants." Ryan's shoulders dropped in relief, as though I had just saved him from a storm. He leaned forward, kissed my cheek, and left before I could change my mind. The door closed, and the silence that followed was heavier than the sky outside. That night, I sat at my dining table staring at the invitation that had arrived weeks earlier. It was elegant, ivory paper with gold lettering, embossed seashells along the border. "Ryan Walsh and Ashley Carter request the honor of your presence." I traced the words with my finger, though I was no longer invited. My phone buzzed. A message from my niece, Sarah. "Aunt Margaret, are you really not coming?" I typed back, "Ryan asked me not to." There was a pause. Then her reply came, "Then I'll film everything. For you." I didn't know then how powerful that promise would become. The morning of the wedding arrived, bright and sunny, the kind of day magazines call perfect beach weather. I stayed home. I brewed tea, set out my best china, and tried not to imagine the vows being exchanged on white sand while the ocean clapped politely in the background. But no matter how hard I tried, the silence in my house pressed against me. I kept hearing Ryan's voice. Ashley just wants things perfect, and Ashley's unspoken words. "Perfect doesn't include you." I thought of my husband, long gone. He would have been furious. He would have stormed down that beach and demanded respect for me. But I was alone, and all I could do was sit by the window, staring out at nothing, clutching the teacup so hard my hand shook. That was the day I realized something was deeply wrong. Not just with Ashley, but with the way my son had allowed her to rewrite the rules of family. And though I didn't know it yet, Sarah's camera would soon reveal the truth. Sarah arrived at the beach with sand already in her shoes and a plan growing like a tide she couldn't hold back. She wasn't invited as family. Ashley had limited the guest list to avoid drama, but she was on the list as Ryan's cousin and unofficial content helper, a role Ashley granted because Sarah's camera could make ordinary moments look expensive. Ashley loved the idea of going viral, just not the idea of me. Sarah set her gear carefully on a driftwood bench. Mirrorless camera, lav mics, a palm-sized audio recorder with a windscreen that looked like a gray hedgehog. She checked batteries, angles, the way the sun poured between white sails that doubled as wedding arches. A string quartet tuned while gulls argued in the distance. Everything was curated to be perfect. Sarah scanned for Ryan. He stood near the dune grass, practicing his vows under his breath. Face open, and terrified, and beautiful in a way only people who still believe in forever can be. She lifted the camera and framed him against the glitter of water, then lowered it with a throat full of needles. He thinks today saves him, she thought. He doesn't know today is the proof. Ashley appeared in a drift of silk and sprayed diamonds, bridal hair pinned to look like it had fallen that way by accident. Her bridesmaids hovered like satellites, absorbing her brightness, reflecting it back. She held a phone in a pearl, case the way one holds a mirror, always checking, always adjusting. "Can you capture some behind-the-scenes candids?" the planner asked Sarah, a woman with a headset and the calm smile of a flight attendant who has already clocked the turbulence. "The bride wants authenticity." "Of course," Sarah said, and clipped a spare lav mic to the underside of the bamboo arch in the name of ambient audio. She slipped the recorder into a knot of chiffon, its red light blinking once before it slept. It wasn't the only mic she set. A second one, smaller, found a home in the bouquet table among the white roses. A third slid beneath the lip of the bar, where the men would drift, where truth often grew a voice. Sarah didn't know what she would catch. She only knew what she'd seen over months of planning dinners, Ashley messaging under the table, glances that landed on Ryan and then slid off him like water off foil, a best man named Jake who always arrived late and left with his tie undone. She had watched Ryan shrink himself to fit a life that had no room for a mother, a niece, anything that didn't photograph well. Guests took their seats. The quartet braided Pachelbel with Ocean. The planner lifted a finger. And in that precise silence, before the processional, before the gasp at Ashley's first step, Sarah heard it. "Did you fix the seating?" "I told you no Walshes near me." Ashley's voice, pitched low, flirted with a laugh. "Relax," a male voice replied, Jake. "After today it's all optics anyway. Then the brand deals. Don't say that word." A hiss of silk. Mike's. Sarah's heart bumped once against her ribs, hard and grateful. She kept moving, a predator in polite heels. The ceremony began. The officiant spoke about love, as if it were a set menu. Ashley smiled with her teeth. Ryan read his vows, voice breaking on "I choose you." And the guests loved him for it, because sincerity needs so little rehearsal. When it was Ashley's turn, she delivered a clean paragraph about loyalty and partnership that would fit nicely in captions. There was a collective sigh. The way crowds sigh for fireworks arranged exactly as expected. What no one saw was Sarah's thumb, sweeping across her phone, marking timestamps. 3:12 bouquet table, 9:45 bar, 12:06 arch. She didn't feel like a saboteur. She felt like a medic who has finally found the artery. After the kiss, after the tossed petals and the drone that dipped for a cinematic reveal of Ocean and applause, the party softened. Shoes came off, bow ties loosened. The sun goldened into something that made everyone feel forgiven. At the bar, Jake leaned with the casual entitlement of a man who has never been told a rule applies to him. "Two more," he told the bartender, then angled his body toward Ashley, who approached without her veil, the crown gone, just a woman who'd won something she didn't plan to keep. "You looked bored," he said. "I was working," she said. "Smiling is work. You could have said no. You don't say no to a life that easy." "Is it easy?" "It will be," she murmured. "A beat. If everyone stays in their lane." Sarah watched their mouths make shapes over the rim of her lens, but the recorder under the bar held what mattered. Later, by the photo wall, seagrass, a neon sign that read "Endless." Ashley posed with grandparents, with college friends, with strangers who would become cherished community in a carousel post. She threw her head back and laughed at nothing, perfect from every angle. Then Sarah caught the moment the laugh fell off her face like a mask. Ashley's phone lit. "A name, Mom." She declined it, then, thinking she was alone, spoke to no one. "Don't call me now. We did it. That's enough." Sarah felt the click inside her, the one that says you have enough. She slipped away to a quiet corner, opened her bag, and checked the levels. The hedgehog mic had done its job. The waveform broke and danced like evidence. By the time the cake was cut and the first dance began, Sarah had already pulled a second phone from her pocket, the one no one knew about, and started assembling the skeleton. She laid Ryan's vows under the footage of his hands shaking. She cut to Ashley at the bar, overlaying her laugh with Jake's off-camera voice. After today, it's all optics anyway. She let the string quartet swell, then dampened it to hear Ashley's whisper near the bouquet table. No Walshes near me. It was not vengeance. It was a ledger. When the DJ called for mother-son dances, a space opened like a wound. A white spotlight glared at an absence. People clapped anyway. Ryan stood alone, then, saving it with a joke, tugged his best man onto the floor. Everyone laughed except Ashley, who looked at her coordinator and made a slicing motion with 2 fingers, move on. Sarah's throat burned. She lowered the camera, let the tears come, and then lifted the camera again. The world doesn't change because you hurt. The world changes because you hit record. She left before the sparkler exit, carrying her gear like contraband. Back in her apartment, she made tea she never drank and edited on muscle memory. The city held its own party noises outside. Her screen held a different kind of celebration, one where truth got a seat at the table. At 2:17 a.m., she exported the file. She added a caption that felt like both a warning and a prayer. May the people we love be loved honestly. She hovered over the share button, imagining Ryan's face when he saw it, imagining mine, imagining the knives the internet can become. She pictured Ashley's hollow, brilliant smile. She pictured the boy who had once brought a paper crown to my kitchen and asked if I could tape it back together. Sarah took a breath and posted. By sunrise, the tide had changed. By 6:12 a.m., the video had outpaced the dawn. It slipped from phones to group chats to a wedding subreddit, then vaulted to a hashtag For You page that didn't know anybody's last name, but understood the physics of a gasp. Views stacked like poker chips. Comments bloomed in all caps and careful paragraphs and crying laughing emojis. Someone clipped the line, "After today it's all optics anyway," and stamped it on a loop with subtitles. Someone else slowed the moment Ashley said, "No Walshes near me," and added a needle scratch sound effect. The internet, an organism with a million eyes, decided to look. Sarah woke to the siren of her phone vibrating across the nightstand. She didn't need to check. She could feel it in the air, the metallic taste of something that has already escaped your hands. Still, she checked. The number was violent. Her inbox was a jungle. A blue-check producer wanted to talk. A stranger wrote, "My mom wasn't invited to my wedding either. Thank you for saying the quiet part out loud." Another, "This is cruel. Weddings are private." A third, "Imagine thinking vows are content and not a contract." The kettle clicked off by itself. She had set it in the dark and forgotten. Sarah stood in the window wash light and watched the city shrug into day. The beach felt very far away. Ryan felt both inches and years from her door. At 7:03 a.m., he called. She almost didn't answer. She pictured him with the ring still on, with the salt still in his hair, with last night's playlist still ghosting the edges of his head. She answered anyway. "Hey," he said, voice husked by lack of sleep. "It's a lot. I know. Is it true?" A boy's question in a man's throat. "Sarah, Saturday, it's their voices, I didn't dub anything. I wish I had nothing." He was quiet long enough for her to hear the traffic begin to braid. "I kept thinking," he said finally, "that if I just did everything right, people would behave the way they promised. Like the wedding would domesticate chaos." "Chaos doesn't sign vendor contracts," she said softly. He laughed, cracked and short. "Mom's already texted me a screenshot." She put 3 heart emojis, and then said she was making lasagna in case I came by. Who makes lasagna at 7 a.m.? "Someone who waits for her son to come home," Sarah said. "I don't know what home is today. You get to decide. That's the whole terrible gift." A second line lit up. "Ashley." Sarah's thumb hovered. "She's calling me," she said. "Don't answer," Ryan said. "Too fast." "Or do." "I don't know." "God." Sarah let it ring out. A voicemail appeared and evaporated into a text. "You ruin lives for likes. Take it down." A second text. Colder. "Legal will contact you." Legal. As if marriage had been a merger and the vows a term sheet. Sarah's spine turned to wire. By noon, the wedding planner had posted a statement about the privacy of clients and turned comments off. The church where the rehearsal dinner happened issued a reminder that it did not condone harassment. A tiny beach town Facebook group shared a grainy photo of a drone, accusing it of terrorizing gulls. Meanwhile, the video itself was learning to walk. A journalist stitched it with a segment about performative relationships. A therapist stitched that with a clip titled "Boundaries Are Not Cruel." And somewhere, inevitably, a man with a ring light explained at length that not inviting your mother is healthy if she's toxic, as if he'd ever met one. At 1:40 p.m., Sarah's apartment buzzer went off like a fire alarm. She froze, phone in hand. It buzzed again, longer, angrier. She padded to the intercom and pressed the talk button. "Yes, it's me," Ryan's voice, close and exhausted. "Can I come up?" She buzzed him in. When he reached her door, he looked like someone who had crossed a border without luggage. His tie was gone. His shirt was yesterday. His eyes had the stunned glaze of people who've been watched too long. "Did you sleep?" she asked. "On the couch at Jake's for 2 hours," he said, the name tasting wrong as soon as it left him. "Then I walked. Come sit." She poured coffee that had been waiting for a purpose. He took it like a sacrament. "I didn't want my life to be content," he said to his hands. "I wanted it to be a life." Sarah leaned against the counter, not touching him, guarding his air. "You didn't make this mess," she said. "You lived inside it. That's a different skill set." He nodded. A small animal trying to accept water. Ashley said it's all out of context. His mouth shaped a bitter smile. "I keep replaying my vows and thinking, maybe that was out of context too." "Nothing is in context at a wedding," Sarah said. "It's a diorama. The context is what happens after." As if on cue, his phone lit. Ashley again. Then his father. Then unknown numbers scrolling like credits. He flipped the device face down. "Mom texted again," he said, softer. "She said she won't say I told you so." "Do you think she will?" "She'll cook." "That's her I told you so." Sarah hesitated. "She loves you in a way that doesn't need witnesses." He breathed, deep for the first time. "Do you think I should go there? Do you want to be with someone who loves you more than optics?" "Yes," he said, the word landing with the weight of a signature. "Then go." He stood, then faltered at the door. Was I wrong to ask her not to come? I thought it would keep the peace. Sarah didn't rescue him with a platitude. "Sometimes peace is just silence with good lighting," she said. "You're allowed to want the loud kind." He nodded again, opened the door, then looked back. "Thank you," he said, simple and unadorned. After he left, Sarah answered 3 reporters the same way. No interviews. She blocked a man who called her a homewrecker for wrecking a home that had been a set. She ate a piece of toast standing up and felt 90 years old. At 4:03 p.m., a DM slid into her request from a name she didn't expect. Ashley Bennett. No lawyers. No PR assistant. I watched it twice, the message read. First in rage, then in recognition. I don't know who I am without the version people clap for. I'm not asking you to take it down. I'm asking how to be a person again. Sarah stared, the room tilting. For a long time, she wrote nothing. Then she typed, "Start by telling the truth to someone who won't post it." She erased it. She typed, "Talk to your mother." She erased that too. At last she sent, "Tell Ryan the truth." All of it. Then stop performing, even if it costs you the audience. No bubbles appeared. The message hung like laundry between buildings. As the sun lowered, the video migrated to evening shows, and a host with perfect hair teased a segment about the wedding we all attended. Sarah muted the TV. She opened her laptop to a blank document and wrote a sentence she wished someone had handed her when she was younger. "Loyalty to a lie is just fear with good manners." Her door buzzer sounded again, this time soft, 3 quick presses like a code. When she answered, a familiar voice, mine, filled the speaker, warm and steady despite the day. "Dinner's at 6, I said. "There's lasagna. No questions until dessert." Sarah laughed, the kind that rinses sorrow. "On my way," she said. Outside, the city glowed. Online, the world argued. Inside a small kitchen, sauce simmered, and a table waited for a boy who still believed in forever, and a woman who had decided to tell the truth even if it left a mark. The morning after the video detonated across the internet, Sarah woke to a phone that wouldn't stop vibrating. Mentions, tags, a galaxy of red dots. There were messages from strangers, You saved my son and you don't even know it, from old church friends praying for you, dear. And from people who used to smile at her in the produce aisle now crafting paragraphs about boundaries and narcissistic mothers. She scrolled until the words smeared. By noon, the first letter arrived, an email from a boutique PR firm claiming to represent Ashley's family. It looked professional, embossed signature block, phrases like defamation and irreparable harm, a neat little threat disguised as courtesy. They demanded she take down the video, issue a public apology, and attend restorative mediation. They CC'd a lawyer with a hyphenated surname and 3 office locations. Sarah read it twice, then a third time, and set the phone face down on the kitchen table. Her coffee had gone cold. She poured it out, brewed another, and opened the back door. The yard smelled like damp cedar. Traffic hummed a block away. For the first time since the beach, she felt the tremor of what she'd done. She had dragged a private rot into unforgiving daylight. There was relief in that, but also a clean, bright fear. The doorbell rang. On the porch, Pastor Elaine hovered beside a box of muffins like a nervous florist. "We love you," Elaine began, eyes shining. But some of the congregation is concerned about the way truth was handled. Are they concerned the truth was true? Sarah asked, and watched the pastor's gaze land on the muffins. Elaine left with a promise to keep conversation open. As soon as the car pulled away, a minivan slid into its place. Meredith, from the neighborhood association, leaned out the window. "Just a heads up, Han. Some of us got messages from Ashley's aunt. She's saying you edited the clip." Sarah's chest tightened. "I posted the entire thing." "I figured," Meredith said, softening. "For what it's worth, the group chat is divided. I brought you lasagna anyway." By late afternoon, the online storm had graduated to petition links and think pieces. A podcaster DM'd to request an exclusive. A local TV station called twice. The lawyer CC'd on the PR email left a voicemail with the impatient calm of a man who bills by the minute. And Ryan didn't respond. At sunset, her door opened without a knock. He still had a key. He stood there in the doorway, eyes rimmed red. Salt crust at his temples, the tuxedo finally replaced by a hoodie and an unfamiliar posture. Someone who had been trying not to collapse long enough to get to this exact place. "You set my life on fire," he said. Sarah nodded. "I did." He looked past her to the kitchen, to the empty mug, to the stack of letters she hadn't opened. "It hurts," he whispered. "I didn't want to be that guy online. The meme. You were already a secret," she said. "I just turned the secret inside out." He laughed, short and dry, and leaned his head against the doorframe. "It's not just the video, Mom. It's the messages." He fumbled his phone to her. The screen was filled with strangers' confessions, screenshots, timestamps, Venmo receipts. One shaky video of Ashley and Jake whispering in a parking lot 2 months before the wedding. A DJ from their venue wrote that Ashley asked him to pretend the power had gone out if things got dramatic. The fluorescent photos of a bouquet, order labeled backup aisle. Ryan swallowed. "I thought I was going crazy. Like maybe I'd imagined how tired she looked when she thought I couldn't see. How many explanations I gave her, so she wouldn't have to give me one back." "Grief makes us generous to the wrong people," Sarah said. "So does love." He sank into a chair. For a long time, they listened to the fridge click on and off, to the world beyond the blinds pretending nothing had happened. Finally, he said, "The lawyer called me too. Said you'd cost Ashley her privacy. Said I'd thank him later." "Do you?" she asked. He pinched the bridge of his nose. "I don't know what I feel. I just know I didn't deserve to walk into a promise alone." He looked up. "And I know you didn't make me alone. You just named it." The turning point arrived not as a speech, but as a breath. Ryan exhaled so deeply his shoulders dropped an inch. "I booked a therapist," he said. "I called Matt and Ben. I told them I'd been hiding." His mouth twitched, and I turned off comments. Sarah's knees went weak with something like gratitude. "Good. I'm selling the ring," he added. "Not out of anger. Because I need a different future to pay for." He checked his phone, then set it face down. "If I disappear for a while, is that okay?" "You don't have to perform recovery," she said. "You just have to have it." He stood, pacing once, twice, then stopped. "There's one more thing." He looked suddenly younger, like the boy who used to bring her dandelions with the dirt still clinging. Did you? Did you post that video because you wanted to be right? Or because you wanted me free? Sarah thought of the first sting of the PR letter, of the muffins, of the lasagna, of every woman who had messaged her thank you as if tossing a rope from their own unseen rooms. Because I wanted you free, she said. And because I was tired of the story claiming us. Ryan's jaw worked. He lifted his hand like he might touch her shoulder, then let it fall. Okay, he said. Okay. He reached for the door. There's a lot I have to untangle. But, Sunday dinner? Emma's making roasted carrots and pretending it's a personality. Sarah smiled despite the ache in her chest. Sunday, she said. I'll bring the lasagna. The neighborhood believes it's healing. At the threshold, he paused. Mom. Yes. Next time, give me 10 minutes warning before you break the internet. I'll try, she said. But don't marry anyone who needs the internet to keep the truth quiet. He nodded once and left. The house settled. The phone lit with more opinions from more strangers, but Sarah didn't reach for it. She stood at the sink, hands braced, feeling the old architecture of their family shift, painfully, necessarily, toward something that might be a foundation instead of a facade. Outside, the cedar kept breathing. Inside, for the first time in a long while, so did she. The phone rang late in the evening, just when the house had finally fallen silent. Ryan was in his room, trying to lose himself in music, while I sat in the kitchen staring at the untouched cup of tea that had gone cold hours ago. The display lit up with a name I never expected to see again so soon. Ashley. My first instinct was to let it go to voicemail, but something in me, maybe fear, maybe curiosity, made me swipe to answer. Sarah, her voice came through, soft, almost trembling. I wanted to thank you. The words caught me off guard. Gratitude? From Ashley? The same woman who had fought tooth and nail to cut me out of my own son's life? She kept talking before I could respond. You did what I couldn't. You exposed the truth. For years I pretended to be someone I wasn't. I lived for everyone else's expectations. But now it's out there. Everyone knows. And in a way, I feel free. On the surface, it sounded like a confession, almost an apology. But her tone, there was something rehearsed about it. Too polished, like lines memorized for a performance. You're saying this for me, I finally replied. Or for the world that's still watching? There was silence on the other end. I could hear her breathing, steady and deliberate. Then she let out a laugh, not cruel, but cold enough to tighten the air around me. You always had a sharp tongue, Sarah. Maybe sharper than I gave you credit for. But don't fool yourself into thinking this is over. A video can go viral, sure, but people forget. Public opinion shifts. And when it does, I'll still be standing. The temperature in the room seemed to drop. She wasn't thanking me. She was warning me. I swallowed hard, gripping the edge of the counter. You lost, Ashley. Whatever games you played, it's done. Ryan is free of you. Her voice turned almost pitying, as though she were the one looking down at me. Free. Sweetheart, no one is ever free. We just trade one set of chains for another. You think Ryan will thank you when the dust settles? He's fragile, and you put him under the spotlight. People will dissect him, question him, laugh at him. Do you really think he's strong enough to survive that? I felt my stomach twist, because as much as I wanted to deny it, there was truth buried in her cruelty. The world had seen the video. The world was talking. Ryan's pain wasn't just ours anymore. It was public property. Ashley let out a slow sigh. I'm not calling to fight. I just wanted you to hear my voice. Remember it. Because whether you want to admit it or not, Sarah, we are bound together now. My downfall is tied to your son's scars, and scars don't fade so easily. The line went dead. I stood there frozen, phone still pressed to my ear, hearing nothing but the pounding of my own heartbeat. For the first time since everything had blown open, I didn't feel victorious. I felt cornered. Was she bluffing? Was she broken? Or was she quietly planning her next move, letting me know that even in disgrace, she still had power? One thing was certain, this wasn't the end of Ashley. Not by a long shot. Ryan barely spoke to me for days. When he finally did, his words landed like knives. Mom, Did you ever stop to think maybe you ruined everything? I froze. After everything I had done to protect him, after the humiliation I had swallowed, the hours of sleepless nights, that was what he saw. Destruction, not salvation. The viral video had ripped open more than just Ashley's lies. It had ripped my son's trust in me. Ryan stood in my kitchen, shoulders tense, his eyes bloodshot from too many sleepless nights. I know Ashley wasn't perfect, but you put my life on display. You made me a spectacle. The silence between us was unbearable. I could hear the ticking of the wall clock. Each second, a reminder that I might lose him forever. I reached for the truth, desperate. I did it because I love you, because she would have destroyed you. His jaw tightened, and now everyone knows. Do you know what it's like to walk into a store and feel people whispering behind your back? To have coworkers glance at me like I'm some poor fool who couldn't keep his marriage together? I wanted to scream that saving his life was worth every whisper, every cruel glance. But I could see something breaking in him, something I couldn't reach. That night, I sat alone, scrolling through endless comments online. Some praised me, others condemned me. Words like meddling mother, controlling witch, hero, savior. I didn't know which mask to wear anymore. Then the phone rang. A number I didn't recognize. Sarah, the voice said softly. Ashley. My grip on the phone tightened. I hope you're happy, she whispered. Ryan hates you now. You wanted to save him, but you only drove him away. Her words were venom, carefully measured to sink deep. Before I could reply, the line went dead. I sat in the dark, trembling. For the first time since this nightmare began, I wasn't sure if I had actually won anything. I had saved my son from Ashley's grip, but at what cost? The next morning, Ryan's car was gone. He hadn't said where he was going. He hadn't left a note. Just silence. And that silence was louder than any accusation Ashley could have ever thrown at me. For 3 days, I didn't hear a word from Ryan. His phone went straight to voicemail. His apartment lights stayed dark, and his coworkers claimed he hadn't shown up. Every hour of silence dug deeper into my chest, pressing like a stone I couldn't move. I tried to convince myself he was cooling off, finding space. But in the back of my mind, a darker thought coiled tighter and tighter. What if Ashley was right? What if I had driven him away forever? The internet only made it worse. New clips of my video surfaced with mocking captions. Overprotective mother ruins her son's marriage. My inbox filled with messages from strangers, some thanking me, others damning me. I stopped reading them, but their presence was suffocating. One evening, as the rain battered the windows, I heard a knock at my door. My heart leapt, but it wasn't Ryan. It was Emma, one of his closest friends from college. Her face was pale. Sarah, I saw Ryan last night. I gripped the doorframe. Where? He was at Murphy's bar. He didn't look good. He said. She hesitated. He said he didn't know if he could forgive you. Her words cut sharper than Ashley's venom ever had. My knees trembled, but I forced myself to stand tall. Did he say anything else? Emma looked down. He said he wished none of this had ever happened. That night, I sat in Ryan's empty apartment, surrounded by silence and shadows. His jacket was still draped over the chair, his shoes by the door, like he might walk in any moment. But he didn't. I pressed my hand against his photograph on the fridge, him as a boy, grinning with a missing tooth, holding my hand on the beach. The boy who once believed I could fix anything. Now, I wasn't sure if I had fixed him or broken him beyond repair. The story the world saw was simple. A mother exposing a cruel woman, saving her son. But the truth was messier, more brutal. In saving him from Ashley, I might have lost him to myself. As I left his apartment, I whispered into the empty room. Ryan, please come back. Not for the world, not for the cameras, for me. But the silence answered back.